guys, Logan here, and welcome to another episode of LBFT. This is episode 8 of LBFT Season 3. For this episode, we're going to be talking about one of last Saturday's game in college football. And this game that we're going to be talking about is the LSU-Alabama game that kicked off last Saturday. And the LSU Tigers, the formerly ranked number 2 LSU Tigers, went up defeated the formerly number 3 ranked Alabama at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 46-41, which was the final score of the game. LSU beating Alabama by 5 points, snapping their 8-game losing streak to Alabama, beating Alabama for the first time since 2011, and snapping Alabama's 31 home game winning streak. Alabama was winning 31 games at home until last Saturday. So let's get started with this game. I was originally going to do this episode last Sunday, just the day after LSU beat Alabama, but things have been crazy busy. Just a lot of things in real life that I'm doing that have kept me from doing things like this. But I'm back, and I'm now doing this. So, let's get started. First things first, congratulations to the LSU Tigers and their head coach Ed Orgeron. Y'all deserve props where props is due. I mean, going into Bryant-Denny Stadium, one of the most difficult places to ever win at as a visiting opponent, as a visiting team, one of the toughest environments to ever play at. And LSU did not step down. They did not wilt beneath the pressure. They rose up to it. And I gotta give credit where credit is due. I mean, hats off to Ed Orgeron. He did something at Alabama that not very many opposing coaches would have done, which is beating Nick Saban at Alabama. That's something that not very many coaches could do. But he's one of the few to have ever do it, and my hats off to him and his team and the rest of his coaching staff. They deserve credit for their win against a highly ranked Alabama team. Now, let's talk about this. Joe Burrow, the star quarterback for the LSU Tigers. He played lights out, y'all. He was absolutely spectacular. 31 of 39, 393 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions, averaged 10.1 yards per pass attempt. He was absolutely spectacular. Absolutely, positively spectacular. I mean, he has made a case for the Heismen Trophy in this game. This was a Heisman moment for Joe Burrow. His performance in this game and win against Alabama, to me, made him the frontrunner for the Heisman Trophy. He he became my frontrunner for the Heisman Trophy after that performance he put up against Alabama. He did not step down. He stood up and accepted the challenge when it counted. So, big props to Joe Burrow. He's one of the fewest quarterbacks in this past decade that came into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama. The last two quarterbacks, I can't speak, I apologize. Two of the last, 4 or 5 quarterbacks to do it were Cam Newton and Johnny Manziel, both of which won the Heisman trophies the following later on that season. I mean, the years that they beat Alabama at Tuscaloosa were the same years that they later on won the Heisman trophies. So when I look at it from that perspective, combined with Joe Burrow being the 5th quarterback to beat Alabama at Bryant-Denny Stadium, I gotta tell you this. It's not beyond the realm of comprehension that Joe Burrow will be the 3rd quarterback that not only beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, but won the Heisman Trophy later on, if he wins out. That's just how I look at it. But he's not even there, so I gotta give Joe Burrow a lot of props. He put up a hell of a show. But he's not even LSU's best player on the field. He wasn't even the best player on that field. And that's even scary. This dude, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm not sure if that's how you say his last name, but this dude, the running back for the LSU Tigers, I mean, 20 carries, 103 rushing yards, 3 touchdown rushes, averaged 5.2 yards per carry. He was an absolute monster. And he's a miniature size monster, mind you. I mean, he's not that big. He's not that big of a running back. He's small, quick, fast, versatile, and he's been breaking tackles. I mean, he was running all over the place. I mean, he kept missing tackles left and right. Keep making the Alabama defensive players miss. He was a show performer. He was a showman in that game. I mean, Lord have mercy. Joe Burrow was not a bad runner, too. I mean, Joe Burrow, 14 carries, 64 yards, averaged 4.6 yards per carry. So, Joe Burrow is not only a great passer of the football, but he's not a bad runner either. But it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back for the LSU Tigers, that has put on an absolute show. Lord have mercy. Now let's get to the receiving corps for LSU. Starting with Jamar Chase. 6 receptions, 140 receiving yards, 1 touchdown catch, averaged 23.3 yards per catch, or per reception. He was really good. I'm arguably the best wide receiver, the best player, I should say, on the receiving corps for LSU. Justin Jefferson was no joke either. 7 receptions, 79 receiving yards, 11.3 yards per reception on average. And this dude, Thaddeus, again, I'm not sure if that's how you say his first name, but Thaddeus Moss. If you don't know who that guy is, he is the son of Randy Moss. Thaddeus Moss is the son of Randy Moss. One of the wide receivers for the LSU Tigers is Randy Moss' son. I mean, and the reason why that's so significant, the reason why this is important to point that out is because if you watch this game, there's this one play where Joe Burrow made that one pass that was right near the goal line, and there was one LSU receiver that catch the ball and had his toes, or catch the ball while he stand on his toes in bounds. And that one LSU player, or that one LSU receiver, was Thaddeus Moss, Randy Moss' son. I have no doubt in my mind that his daddy is proud of him and what he did, and was not more than impressed with what he saw from his son. I bet you that he's very proud of his son for what he put up. So the receiving court, excuse me, the receiving court for LSU is not really that bad. I mean, it is one of the best groups of receivers in the country. You take a look at it, combined with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I didn't even mention that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or Helaire, I might have mispronounced his name, so forgive me if I did. But he was not only running with the football, he's catching passes from Joe Burrow too. I mean, 9 receptions, 77 receiving yards, 1 touchdown catch, average 8.6 yards per reception. He was not only running all over Alabama's defense, he was catching passes all over Alabama's defense. Maybe not to the level that he put a running game on the ground, but still. So I got to give credit. LSU's defense might not be as great as they were a few seasons ago, but this LSU's offense was enough to give themselves a win, to receive a win at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Now let's get to the Alabama Crimson Tide, starting with Tua Tagovailoa. 21 of 40, 418 passing yards, 4 touchdown passes, 1 interception, averaged 10.5 yards per pass attempt. Now, listen, Tua was not 100% healthy last Saturday. He was not 100% healthy. He was not himself. I mean, he came off of his knee injury, I believe, or probably his leg injury. I'm not sure which injury it is at this point, but I think it's knee injury. Anyway, he just didn't look like himself, at least health-wise, injury-wise. He looked hobbled in this game, and still, he put up 418 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, he put up everything he could to try to help lead his team to win this game, but couldn't. And it's because of Alabama's defense. They could not stop LSU's offense. They could not stop Joe Burrow. They could not stop Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They could not stop Jamar. I forget his name. Jamal Chase. They could not stop any damn soul on the offensive side of the ball for LSU. They could not stop anybody. I mean, 46 points allowed in this game. I mean, that's kind of uncharacteristic, or on the part of Nick Saban, because two things that Nick Saban and Alabama have been were historically great at: running the football and stopping the run. Well, this year, and to a certain extent last year, Alabama has transitioned from being a great rushing defensive and great running offensive team, and not so much a great passing team, into a prolific offense, but not a great rushing defense and rushing offense team. So, as a result, Alabama, to give up 46 points, including 33 points at halftime, being down by 20. And I said this at halftime to one of my family members. I said, LSU just did to Alabama, or LSU is doing to Alabama what Clemson did to Alabama in that national championship game. I mean, LSU is doing a similar thing to Alabama for what Clemson did to them. I mean, Clemson blowing out Alabama in that national championship by 28 points, 44-16. Similar thing happened again in this game. So, I mean, very uncharacteristic happened on a part of Nick Saban, at least as a defensive head coach, especially when he's coaching the DBs, at least from what I heard. Excuse me. So, I don't know what was going on in Nick Saban's head, or what he was thinking, why he didn't what was it? Najee Harris, the running back for Alabama, 19 carries, 146 rushing yards, one touchdown rush, at 7.7 yards per carry on average. Even though he roughshotted over all the LSU defensive players, running all over them, it's in a similar way to what Clyde Edwards-Hillard did to Alabama's defense. You couldn't even give Najee Harris the ball more. I mean, despite rushing for 146 yards, Nick Saban couldn't even give Najee Harris the ball more. I feel like that was mistake number one on a part of Nick Saban. Mistake number two on a part of Nick Saban is two drops on Jerry Jeudy that could have easily been touchdowns had he not dropped the ball twice. Two catches that could have ended with being touchdowns for Alabama. So, yeah, I mean, despite what's his name, Devontae Smith having 7 receptions, 213 receiving yards, 2 touchdown receptions, average 30.4 yards per reception. Wasted performance. Jerry Jeudy, 5 receptions, 71 receiving yards, 1 touchdown reception, 14.2 yards per reception. Again, wasted. Now, combined with 2 drops that could have ended with touchdowns. So, I mean, that was mistake number 2 on a part of Nick Saban. Mistake number 3, and this is probably the biggest mistake that he has made as an Alabama head coach. Not having a defense to stop LSU's offense. Not having to stop the run, not having to stop the pass, not having to cover the receiving core for LSU. I mean, Nick Saban is known, at least from what I heard, to have really great defenses. So I apologize. I don't know why I keep on coughing. I shouldn't be, but anyway, Nick Saban being commonly known for coaching defense, especially the DBs or defensive backs. I mean, there were some plays called by Nick Saban that I thought were very uncharacteristic of Nick Saban. Again, I don't know what the hell he was doing, what he was thinking, or why he made some of the calls that he made. Why he didn't give Najee Harris the ball more, despite rushing for 146 yards. Why he didn't have Tua execute 2 potential touchdown passes to Jerry Jeudy the way that they should be executed. I just don't know what was happening in Nick Saban's head. But whatever it was, he's got to fix it. Otherwise, things are going to go south for Alabama and Nick Saban. South. Get it? Because, Alabama is an SEC team, a Southeastern Conference team. Yeah. I might be confusing you. So forget that you heard me say that. But anyway, so yeah, it was a thrilling game to watch. Now I forgot to quick caveat. I really should have said this earlier. I should have said this at the start of this episode, but I didn't. Usually, when I do episodes talking about games in which Alabama lost, particularly the latest one being about Clemson's 28-point win against Alabama in that last national championship game. Usually I would laugh about it. I would have fun with trolling all the Alabama fans. Well, I mean, I don't know about all, but most of them at least. Talking, smack talking, talking a lot of smack about Alabama and how they haven't played anybody until in this season until LSU. And just trying to troll the Alabama fans and just having a good time with them. Because I hate Alabama so much. I hate them with a passion. I can't stand them. They ruin the college football with their dominance over the entire field. That was my biggest complaint over the last few years of college football about Alabama. Now this season, it's different. We have not had a college football season quite like this. A season where more than 4 or 5 teams competed for the national championship. We had 7 or 8 teams that were national championship contenders. That is unheard of. That is unheard of. I mean, this season is way different from what it was from what last season is like. Last season, it was Alabama and then everybody else until the very end, which was the national championship game. But this season, it's not just Alabama and everybody else. It is Clemson, Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, Oklahoma, Baylor, Minnesota, Oregon, Utah. I mean, those were national championship contenders this season. It was unreal. So, Yeah, it was a crazy season, and I quite love it, actually. Now, I'm glad that we have some other teams other than Alabama, and to a lesser extent, Clemson, that are looked at, that are playing like national title contenders. That's what I'm talking about. That's what college football is all about, and should be about. Not Alabama dominating the entire field. I don't want that. And I said this I said this in one episode before. I brought this up, I believe, in season 2. Not sure which episode, but it was in season 2, where I talked about how we are potentially nearing the end of the Nick Saban Alabama dynasty. We're nearing the end of that dynasty. Not saying that this will be the final year of Nick Saban's head coaching career at Alabama. I'm just saying that within the next few years, we're about to see. We are slowly but surely witnessing the end of the Alabama Crimson Tide dynasty under Nick Saban. It's starting to reveal itself. It's starting to show that Alabama is slowly diminishing. I don't know if diminishing is the right word, but yeah, it slowly but surely starts to dip in from being on top of college football to slowly getting down and down and down, year by year, year after year after year. Within the next few years, we're not going to see Alabama on top. I firmly believe that. I also firmly believe that Nick Saban will not last long at Alabama. I expect him to stay at Alabama at least next year or two. I would not be surprised if Nick Saban's final season at Alabama, will be either next year or the year before. Or the year after, I should say. The year after next. I would not be surprised if any of those seasons would be his final year at Alabama or coaching at Alabama. So that's just where I look at it. So anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on the LSU-Alabama game. And this is episode 8 of LBFT Season 3. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I have a ton of fun doing this. Like I said, I usually don't troll. I usually would like to troll Alabama fans whenever I do episodes on games where they lost. And I would just have fun with them and stuff like that. But in this particular case, I didn't. I didn't trash talk or troll the Alabama fans and laugh at Alabama's loss to LSU, which is something that I could have easily done, but I didn't. Which I did last year when Alabama got beat up by Clemson in that national championship. So, yeah, I became more humble this year. I started to become more humble and less of a trash talker. Because I started to realize that it's not really exactly who I am. Though I always love to see Alabama lose. That passion is not going away. But my attitude has started to change. I'm trying to be more humble than I ever was before. Because I became more mature, and I became older and started to realize and became more aware of who I am and who I should be and what attitude should I bring. So Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's all that I will say in this episode for now.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it that like button to click, and if you'd like to see future videos from me, make sure to press up there to subscribe, and don't forget to turn on that bell icon so that you'll get notified about my latest videos. Have a great day, and as always, fight the good fight.